sun is rising.
I like your T-shirt, so why don't you stand up now and show the listeners There you go. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Somebody make that for you, or did you? Do you have like multiples?
My sister-in-law got it for me as a Christmas present from one of my photos that I took from a photo shoot a couple of years ago when I was in WA in Kalgoorlie. I had a really good photographer there, Melissa Drummond. Amazing photographer for bands and stuff. Yeah. And did they do like a screen print of that, or is it pressed on? Screen print on. Yeah, just screen print on the T-shirt. They look fancy.
Yeah, I tried doing some inkjet printing, T-shirt printing for a while, but it doesn't seem to stay. It fades too much that way. But I think the screen printing probably works the best, and it holds out longer. John, how long have you been writing songs?
We started when I was 14, 1984. I started with my friend Michael. We wanted to be a punk band. I knew 3 chords on lead guitar, and he wanted to be a drummer, but we didn't have a drum kit, so we had an orange fake leather couch and a car or two, and we used to make up songs about our teachers and stuff. That's probably what we started. And there wasn't good language in it either.
We used to make up songs about our teachers too, and they weren't very pleasant.
I think the first song I ever remember writing was in about 1987. It's a song called Small Town Blues, which I still have and I'll occasionally play. And that was with the guys from my first band. Are you familiar with the story about the band Lynyrd Skynyrd? Do you know the story about how they got their name? No.
Well, actually, it was when they were in high school, they had a teacher. I forget if he was a gym teacher or a guidance counselor, but these guys wanted to put a band, or they had a band, and they were rehearsing and said that's what they wanted to do for a living. And the teacher said, you'll never amount to anything by doing that. He says, you guys, you're probably never going to amount to anything anyway because you're musicians. And when they made their first record release, they decided to call themselves Lynyrd Skynyrd because the teacher's name, his last name was Leonard. So what they did was they called him Lynyrd Skynyrd as a nickname for him. So that's what they named the band. They named the band after him because he said they never amount to anything.
I think we probably got told that too. we were told back in the day, in the 80s when we were growing up in Ireland, everybody wanted to be the next U2. And that's, we spent years practicing music and writing songs in a shade and played about one gig first time. But one of the local musicians said, if you want to make money out of music, you got to play country and western. We went, no.
In Ireland, you had to play that?
Yeah, it's country and Irish in Ireland, which it's even, it's dreadful.
Growing up in Ireland, did you experience any wars there? That country was under war for a long time.
No, we've got the Good Friday Peace Agreement, which was signed in the 90s, and hopefully Boris Johnson and the Unionists won't bugger it up. Try. Look, I was in the Republic of Ireland, which is the south. We weren't necessarily impacted by what we called the Troubles. It was war, the Troubles. But certainly up in Northern Ireland, which is still part of the UK, it was pretty nasty. But every so often there'd be things happening. Lord Mountbatten, who was an English lord, he's the first cousin of the Queen, I think. His boat was blown up off the Sligo coast, which is just up the road from where I'm from. So there's all sorts of little things. We wouldn't necessarily be aware of them most of the time, but it was strange.
Yeah, we don't hear too much about it anymore. That's why I had to ask you if it was still going on or not.
No, they signed Good Friday Agreement, I should know off the top of my head, in the early 90s, and the peace for the most part, held. Funny enough, I was just talking to my friend Pat, who's in my current band today, and with Brexit and everything, there's a lot of pushing and shoving, and part of the Brexit agreement was that there wouldn't be a border in the island of Ireland. There's kind of a customs issue between Northern Ireland and the UK. And in the Unionist minds, they're the same country, and they've agreed a protocol as part of the Brexit agreement, which is not terribly workable, and there's a lot of trouble over that, a lot of negotiations. Look, as long as people don't take up guns again and bombs, it'll be great. I mean, there's still a few extremists on both sides who usually cause trouble, but for the most part, it's peaceful. The police force is now both denominations, Catholic and Protestant. For the first time, they just recently held assembly elections, and for the first time in the history of Northern Ireland, in 101 years, the nationalists, which would be the Republican side, have the majority in Stormont, which is the assembly. But unfortunately, the Unionists are currently blocking going into it because they're not happy with the protocol. So they may not even take seats. But things are changing there. Hopefully they'll maintain sense and keep working together. I mean, it's all about working together, but trying to achieve everybody's goals without upsetting people.
Right, that's very hard to do.
Oh, yeah, particularly when some of them used to be armed.
Yeah, right. So was that your inspiration for writing the song to war, or did you have a different inspiration for that?
Not really. I definitely had a different inspiration for that because, so when we moved to Australia, we lived in Western Australia, in Kalgoorlie, which is the middle of the desert, really. But we went down to Albany in 2017 for a long weekend. It was the Anzac weekend. So in Australia, they have a public holiday every year called Anzac Day, which it celebrates servicemen and women throughout Australian and New Zealand's history, but it's premised on the day that the troops, the Anzac troops, first landed in Gallipoli in World War I, because that was the first action of the Australian Army since Federation, which was in 1901. And they have a dawn service, and everybody goes out and stands in front of the flag, and the bugler plays the last post. You know, it's very moving, and you know, thousands and thousands of ordinary Australians and New Zealanders have served in the armed forces over the multiple of years since. But as an Irish person, I come from a totally different background. We've been neutral since our independence in 1921. We don't, the Republic part that is, so we don't have the same tradition of honouring servicemen and women. So it's kind of unusual to me. The Australians and the New Zealanders, they bring the kids and they're all there standing, saluting the flag. So that's the image of, you know, people saluting the flag and honouring the people who've served, past, present, alive and dead. But bringing their children into that culture. And then the issue I have really is like the next war, it could be that child standing in the flag that's going to be in the firing line. And this is what's happened in Russia and Ukraine at the minute. You know, and while we were in Albany, and if anyone ever gets to Western Australia and goes to Albany, there's an amazing museum there which looks at the Australian Armed Forces history in World War I. And you go into the museum and you kind of pick, you get some cards and you pick individuals, and you can see their story throughout World War I, where they died or if they survived. You know, it's an amazing experience and heartbreaking for a lot of them, because I mean, like the carnage of World War I was unbelievable, and you know, damage. And the reason it's in Albany is that's where the fleet of Australian and New Zealand troops left Australia to go to Europe for work. So yeah, it's and I think at that stage a couple of years ago, I think we had Donald Trump as the US president. He was saber-rattling quite a lot. I had a fear that he would randomly start war. He actually managed not to, which was very good. But then again, you've got another crazy person in Vladimir Putin who has just started one. You know,
right.
That's that was my fear at the time, and it's been realised just on a different side. So yeah, now Russian mothers are seeing their babies go off to get killed for a war that most of them don't need. the Ukrainians are there defending their country, which is fair and natural, but it's just overall the whole thing is just a mess.
What inspired you to move to Australia from Ireland?
Well, as a call out here, the global financial crisis. So in Ireland, our economy nosedived from 2007 to 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So yeah, it just nosedived. I worked in architecture, so building was a huge industry in Ireland. It just collapsed. So I managed to get a job out in Western Australia, and they brought us out here. And we moved lock, stock and barrel in 2012. Here for nearly 10 years.
From the looks of things in America, I think a lot of us are going to be coming to Australia too.
It's a great country, and it's big. There's lots of room.
Yeah. From what I've seen, I don't know a lot about it, but from what I have seen so far, it seems like a really beautiful country.
It is. It's just very, very big.
Yeah, and so there would be plenty of room.
So between Western Australia and Eastern Australia, there's you can drive for a couple of days. It's only a couple of thousand kilometers, but there's an area called the Nullarbor, which means no trees.
Oh.
It's just little, and it's flat as a pancake for hundreds and hundreds of miles. Bushes, thousands of kangaroos, and a couple of camels.
Yeah, we don't have those animals here in America. We have them in zoos, but not indigenous animals.
Kangaroos hop around, and in some areas, camels which were introduced all over the place. There's a lot of fairly found camels.
I like koalas. I even have one on my computer screen as a background.
They're more in the eastern states, and look, they're having trouble. I mean, if we get into environmental stuff. There's huge pressure on their habitat with logging and development, and they're really suffering. And then the fires we had in 2019 have really devastated them. So they're endangered. I mean, they're at risk.
I know, that was kind of sad to watch. What was happening to them during those fires.
Yeah, they were. The whole fires. It was scary. It was terrifying. I mean, we were here in Sydney. And basically all the mountains around us were on fire.
Oh man!
Smoke haze, there was spot fires in the city as well, but they were put out pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, we had this app that you can fires near me, and I mean, we were still working. It was pre-COVID, so I was in the city. My wife was at work. The young daughter, and every day you're kind of just checking is there fires near, because she's at school. And what does she do if there's a fire? Because she's 14, 15. It's frightening. I mean, that is one of the things about Australia. It's a country of extremes. It's either really hot and on fire, really wet and flooded. It's just been kind of crackers. I mean, at the minute, we're just suffered. All of the East Coast has been just destroyed with flooding.
Oh man!
We've had literal lakes fall down on top of some areas. Like we've had towns flooded up to above the ceilings of two-story buildings.
Wow.
Just crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a country of extreme.
Yeah, is that a recent thing from global warming, or has it been going on for quite a while?
Look, I don't think it's all global warming. I think it's getting worse for global warming, but it has been a country of extreme. So, for example, down the road, close to where I am, is a old town called Windsor, which is one of the early settlement towns. And the Hawkesbury River flows through that. And, Windsor's on a hill, and you can look down and you go, oh yeah, it's off down there. But at the corner of a little square, there's this nail in the corner of one of the old buildings. And it's 19.5 metres above the river level, and that's the level of the 1850 flood.
Wow.
Now, we've got pretty close to it this year a couple of times, but just ridiculously high amount. Just, unbelievable water.
Yeah, we get those occasionally, but not very often does that happen. Like if there's a hurricane or something like that, a tropical storm, we might get flooded out like that. But other than that, we're pretty good.
Well, what will probably happen here now is it won't rain for another 5 years, and we'll have huge fires again.
Oh boy.
That's kind of,
yeah.
As I said, it's extremes.
Yeah, wow. John, when you wrote To War, what were you feeling?
Yeah, it's kind of like the image of a parent holding a child's hand, standing at a flag. It's like the images, like the emotion is that could be my child. It's like, and it's kind of just on the pure futility of war. It's great honouring the people who've served, and I know you've served, but really we should be trying to eliminate the need for the service.
Right, I agree.
What I'm trying to get across, and it's like, and like that museum in WA, it's bleak. That it will break your heart. Probably the best way to describe it. The human tragedy of war is just, it's all pervasive. So we should be trying to avoid it wherever possible. I suppose that's kind of what I was feeling.
Yeah. What message do you want that to convey to your listeners?
Well, really, just do everything in our power to avoid the situation where we're sending our children to get killed, or anybody's children. Yeah. That's it. We should just. There is no need for it. I mean, and look, coming from Ireland, where we've had the troubles and various problems over 700 years of occupation by the British, you can make peace. You can do it, but it takes will and resolve on both sides, and it needs to be remembered. I mean, I think we've now forgotten, or some countries have forgotten, the lessons of World War II, for example. Like, we've got war in Europe again, which is terrifying. And it's just crazy that certain people have forgotten the lessons of World War II. But it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah. What do you see as some of the problems and obstacles that stand in the way of world peace?
Greed.
Yeah.
Greed and people, and inequity. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that one country has loads of resources and the other country needs them and wants to go and take them. That is the basis of it. It's whether it's oil, food, it does land. It doesn't really make any difference. I mean, the UN have come out today and say we're at risk of huge famines in the world because the Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe and they feed quite a lot of Africa. So millions of people could die indirectly as a result of the current war. Like us in the West, we'll be insulated from it. We will complain about rising inflation and we'll complain about the costs going up. But we'll still be able to get most of our food. But people in Africa, people will die unnecessarily. So that's what needs to be resolved. It's just the world's resources need to be shared equitably. It's simple to say we should all share things equally. The reality is that's never going to happen. Make it as equitable as possible. We have enough resources. Nobody should starve. They should all have a home. They should all be warm, cool if they're in a hot country. It should be fair, and that would reduce most of the tensions around the world. They all should have enough land to feed themselves or live in peace. Yeah. And we shouldn't be trying to seize land off people who haven't got much.
Yeah, so that actually answered my next question, which was going to be, what's your vision of world peace in the future? And that's pretty much it, I guess, right there.
Pretty much it, yeah.
So ending on that note, I will play your song to war right now.
It's dawn, the sun is rising. Feel it in the air. The chill of night is biting in the air. Standing at the flag, remembering those who fell. Standing at the flag, remembering those who fell. Why must we cry? We're heading down that road again. Why must we stay children's hands. Help them understand. Salute your country's flag. Pride is burning in your heart. Hold the little children's hands. You know in time you'll be waving them goodbye. Hold the children's hands. In a few years we'll be waving them goodbye. Goodbye. As we send them to war, what are we fighting for? Send them to war. Send them to war. They stand here at the dawn, standing in front of the flag. Hold the little children's hand and hope it's not them. When will our dreams subside? When will we say no? Hold the little children's hands. In a few